Right, so there have been dozens of resignations from the Labour Party over the anti-ceasefire stance of the Labour leadership. The flat refusal to move from that position as 14,000 Gazans are now dead, half of whom are children, and still Keir Starmer remains unmoved. The loss of 50-odd councillors ahead of last week's ceasefire vote changed nothing. 56 MPs defying his order to abstain on the issue and not back the SNP ceasefire amendment changed nothing. 10 front-bench resignations changed nothing. Starmer even had the temerity to say, "We can't back the SNP because that would damage our election chances in Scotland if we did that," putting his own party ambitions, his own desire to get into number 10 before doing what is right and saving lives. It'll be a horrible shock to Starmer in which case that Scottish Labour today voted for a ceasefire, in which case. The fact is Starmer isn't listening to anyone on this, and so we probably shouldn't be too surprised when further resignations come along. Though the shock announcement at a live rally tonight by a councillor in Newham choosing to resign over Starmer's position on a ceasefire on camera no less, and not only that, joining a new group of independents as he does so, should make for a strong message to Keir Starmer that this isn't going to go away, no matter how much he digs his heels in. His position is shameless and untenable. It is heartbreakingly lethal, and people cannot in good conscience continue to support the party when its official position is so depraved. Right, so I did a video the other day regarding the Newham Borough Council group of independents. Mahmood Mirza back in July winning the first independent seat on the council, massively dominated by Labour as it is, with a by-election coming this Thursday in Plystone North to hopefully get their second member, Sophia Nakvi, elected. But she'll now have to settle for being the third member, as tonight in a shock resignation live on camera at a protest rally, Labour Councillor Zuber Guldamuson has dramatically resigned from the Labour Party and defected to Mahmood Mirza's Newham Independence Group. He has put out a belter of a statement afterwards too, addressing his constituents. He said, "As an elected councillor in Newham, London, I wish to inform you all that I have tonight resigned from the Labour Party. I have felt terribly pained by the Labour Party's stance on the war on Gaza by Israel, which United Nations human rights experts such as Craig McKeever have termed a genocide. The slaughter of innocent civilians by a nuclear-armed state, backed by the US, is a stain on all Labour politicians due to the indefensible position of its leader, Keir Starmer. His condemnable statements made to LBC's Nick Ferrari, where he endorsed and supported war crimes, is unforgivable. Now, 7 weeks later, over 14,000 civilians have been slaughtered and over 30,000 injured by Israel's bombing. This has to stop." But last Wednesday in Parliament, most Labour MPs followed the party whip and supported the continuation of this genocide. No number of dead Palestinians appears to force a change in Labour's position of giving cover for Israel to commit heinous war crimes. The question is, therefore, why should we, as local community champions, have to defend such policies? It's clear Labour has irreparably damaged its relationship with Muslim communities, and this will take decades, if ever, to repair. Locally, I have seen the inability of Labour's leadership to speak out, and how my 18 elected Muslim Labour Party colleagues are simply too frightened for fear of damaging their political careers. To them I say, at such moments in history where a live genocide is taking place, we are all duty-bound, in whatever capacity we have, to take action and speak out. We must be fearless and bold, and we must stand with our community and say, "Not in my name." It's time to resign from Labour and not be silenced by those in leadership. You are all aware of the direction that our borough has taken under the leadership of Mayor Roxana, who for weeks has been a silent spectator, refusing to call out the Palestinian genocide and asked for Keir Starmer to resign. This absence of leadership has over the years led to policy failures across the board, such as record council tax bills, a crumbling infrastructure and a collapse of trust with voters. But as I'm no longer a member of your party, this is now a matter for you to decide, and ultimately one which voters will determine, starting with the Plystone North by-election this Thursday. I will now sit in opposition to Labour as an independent, and I look forward to working with Councillor Mahmood Mirza in delivering the representation and change which our residents deserve. Most crucially, this will start by openly and vociferously opposing Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. Finally, by having taken this course, I feel that my conscience is clear. I can hold my head up and say to my family, to my community, and to our residents that in the face of the merciless and vicious genocide of Palestinians, I stood on the right side of history. Ooh, I'm feeling the heat on my cheeks from that. The anger is palpable and completely understandable too, as careers are blatantly being put before doing what is right, and what is just, and actually what is just human. How MPs can willingly sit on their hands in the face of genocide, as Labour MPs did last week, I can't fathom. I can't rationalise it. Let alone vote against a ceasefire as the Tories did. But where Labour are expected to be better than them, they chose to abdicate that responsibility. They chose to look away. And they did so because their disgrace of a leader, Keir Starmer, a Zionist without qualification, will not criticise Israel, will never criticise Israel, will not call out Israel for the atrocities it is committing, will not censure or condemn them. This is a man whose leadership from start to finish has been financed by the Israel lobby, and he will be their man in Parliament. A vote for MPs who are prepared to sit on their hands is a vote of assent for what he is doing and what he would do should he get into power. And for good decent people like Zuber Gulamusan, like so many of the rest of us calling for a ceasefire, we cannot be part of that. We cannot support that. We certainly will not vote for that. In power, Starmer could go even further in his support for Israel, and that has to be opposed. To those Muslim MPs Gulamusan mentioned in his statement, I say, come on, look inside yourselves and buck up. These are your fellow Muslims getting wiped out here. What are you thinking? Starmer won't move on from this. He has to go. And if he's not going to go, then why should any of us appalled at what is happening out in Gaza support him? Or anyone else not calling him out for his indifference towards human life? If that's the best you can think of voting for, I really don't think you're thinking hard enough. Solidarity to Zuber Gulamusan. Brave, principled decision. Labour need more people like him representing them, not losing them, because they have the very weakest and the very worst in charge instead. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video useful. Please like, share and subscribe if you did. More content out daily. Please do have your say on this story in the comments below and be part of the conversation. Meanwhile, here's a video recommendation on the by-election happening in Newham on Thursday. Sophia Nakvi, hoping to make it 3 Newham independent group councillors. Do get out and vote for her if you've got a say in the matter and that. And I'll hopefully catch you on the next vid. Cheers, folks.